Kia ora again, team! Welcome back to Anno 1800 on PS5 console. I left you almost exactly here, and we're back here again. I'm looking a little bit healthier, as you can see. When I left you, I was hemorrhaging money a bit, and I went and I happened to sort that out a little bit better. And now we're back to pulling in a bit of money, and there's a number of reasons for that, and we're going to cover a number of reasons why that is the case. And before I do that, though, I would just like to draw your attention to something, which is down here in the score. Now, I want to draw your attention in particular to that thing at the top that says play time. And where it says 33 hours and 12 minutes and 2 seconds. Because I mean heck. That's what I mean. Absolute heck.
Ship under attack.
Man, has there been some time sunk into this game since last we met? And we're gonna cover some of that. And this is obviously a learning experience for me. This is my first crack at this in Sandbox mode. And I did the campaign and all the rest of it, and that's all well and good, but it in no way prepares you for the higher parts of the game, which is where I'm at. So, look, this is the new world, and to be honest, I haven't really done a lot because I haven't really focused on the new world for the last 8 or so hours that I've been playing this game.
Like
they all seem happy-ish, and frankly, I've had other fires to fight, and we're going to talk about that. So if we have a look at the map, nothing's changed. Tanga de la Haya is doing fine. Cruzamita is also doing fine, and Viejo Garino is doing fine. If we go have a look at Cruzamita, nothing has changed. It was full last time. It is full now. I may have moved a few minor bits and pieces. I may have changed some plantains out for cotton, and so on and so forth. But honestly, I haven't really done a heck of a lot, and I haven't promoted everybody that possibly could be promoted. There's some needs that need possibly to be addressed. Oh, just on that, you hear that error? I figured out how to fix that. It's because your cursor goes off screen and it doesn't always follow. You see how it's going up the menu? Sometimes if you tick upwards, it doesn't always do that. So you just need to use the right stick to move up the menu, and you can see what's going on. So that's Cruzamita and Viejo Garino. I mean, I put these blueprints in, but I need reinforced concrete, and I haven't sorted out getting reinforced concrete out here. And I've been mucking around thinking about the idea of making use of these oil springs, and you need a warehouse. Let's give you one right there. Yeah, so extending some stuff, making some further crops and things that I need to do, adding in some piers, etc. But honestly, not a heck of a lot, because I have been focusing on the old world. I wonder if I can, there we go, help you along. Yes, focusing on the old world. So let's go and have a look at the old world. Let's start at Railhampton. So, Railhampton, again, not a huge amount. This is what I will call the back port. This is the front port. Yeah, so we've got these artisans up and running. In terms of needs, everybody seems happy. Rum, until lately, has been a bit of an issue, but I think the reason they're not going up is probably population related. We need more of them. We've expanded a little bit. We've expanded out here a little bit, and we've grown a smidge. But I mean, to be honest, again, Railhampton hasn't really been the focus of my attentions. We did these mines and things out here, and oh, now listen. For those of you ranting at me, so coal deposits, right? So I was looking at this, which is the wheel menu, And I went to, for example, if I get over here, I went to this, and it has this thing, which is a charcoal kiln. Doesn't have a coal mine. And I was like, oh, and that's an iron mine. So I was like, well, obviously I don't know how to make the most of those things because it seems unable to be able to put a mine there. Ugh. Click on it. If you click on it, you get the option to build a mine. It just builds a mine. Isn't that the dumbest thing? I mean, I just, I kicked myself when I found that out because I've been battling coal, and I had all these areas set aside, where I had, you know, where are they? I don't think I have them on this island so much, but I had all these charcoal kilns out in the wilderness making coal, and it turns out all you need is click on it. It's just what. Anyway, so that works for any mine, by the way. So if you see a resource mine, a deposit, you click on it, it gives you the opportunity to build a mine. Obviously you need to have the people to staff it, and you still need warehouse, you still need all that, but you can actually just do that. I mean, oh, they're sick. Where's my nearest hospital? Is that it? Yeah, that's a warehouse. Do I have a hospital over here?
The finishing
That's
touches.
my fur dealership. I thought I used to have a. You're over there. Oh, right on the edge. Blimey. Right, let's see if we can squeeze a hospital in here. There you go. That'll tackle that problem that's happening. Yeah, so there you go, Railhampton, or Railhampton. You know, the plan is to make it bigger, but again, I have had other fires to fight, so I haven't really progressed it as much as I should. Honestly, it's next on my list. Sancerre. Sancerre has been developed, and honestly, I haven't changed a thing. I really haven't. These guys are all up and running, tickety boo. Again, to get these up so that I could be able to get engineers, I would have to have more of these, which means promoting more of these, which means more needs and things. Question is it worth it? Is it worth it? I don't know at this stage because of the supply chain issues that I'm having on my larger islands, which we'll talk about sometime soon. Who's this guy?
Something's missing.
Framework knitters. You're running out of stuff. You seem to have enough, so I can probably demolish you. Because if you're having trouble, then I probably don't need you. These are all full, which is fine for now. There's two of these side by side and one of them's full. That probably means that I don't need that one. There's deposits here, which I've made use of some, but not others. That is Sancerre ticking along, sort of supplying some of my other major islands. Take a little stroll over to Koritsova. So I did start expanding these a little bit. You know, I needed to get things. I needed to get some additional resources from the island, which was coal, etc. And in order to make the most out of these additional resources, I had to get more workers, which means I had to promote people. I just had to do it. I didn't want to do it, but it has come out, I think, that you cannot just have, well, and maybe not cannot. You probably need to make the most of all of the natural resources on the island that you own.
Don't waste your effort.
So
Dead already.
don't get to the situation where you have, you know, a whole load of coal deposits that are not doing anything. If they're not doing anything, you're not making the most of the island. So if you need a particular kind of worker, you need to do that because it is better for you to have that than not have it. that is my concerted opinion. You will see here I've gone pretty hard out on furs as well. I got rid of a lot of things because we seriously need fur coats, and I seriously
Ship
need
under
furs
attack.
to be able to do it. And I think we are, yeah, we're not too bad on this one, because this island basically supplies my whole economy with furs for fur coats, which is pretty important. What are you?
We put our love into
A sawmill. I do not need you. If you don't need it, demolish it, by the way, because it's just using up space and money. You pay money for every production building that you have. That's his problem. It needs to be bigger. Right, okay, so they're all the minor islands, which are
Ship
really
under
absolutely
attack.
not the problem, or have not been. These two turkeys, however, have very much been my problem. And this is Denbury, which you'll see actually is it's getting developed there, man. Hence my healthy bank balance up in the top left hand corner, because I've got oil. Now then, let's talk about the oil. Do you remember? Because you do, you obviously do. That I said we were going to put oil out here and we were going to put industrial here and blah 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 blah, and that made sense. Yeah, it doesn't though, and here's why it doesn't. Because they want electricity. Down here, they want electricity. When they get to the higher levels, they want electricity and they want light bulbs. And the problem is that these plants only supply electricity to a certain distance, and I need a rail track that needs to connect to an oil harbor to power these turkeys. So this is essentially where all of my main housing is. So if I wanted to try and get oil to an oil power plant, I would have had to have run it from all the way over here. Not gonna work, my man. Not gonna work. So I jiggered some stuff around and I moved the oil harbor over here. And I put an oil power plant here, and now these people are ready. When I start promoting them up, we can start getting into a bit more things because we have this here. Does that change the need or the possibility of having an oil harbor here and also doing that? No, not really. But I decided that it was probably better for my economy to get on with the people, because it's the people that really generate the money. It isn't anything else. You don't generate money from production. You generate some in trades, but to be honest, it's really the people that make you the most amount of money. And you can see that if you go and have a look at your finances. You go down in your balance sheet and you have a look. Sorry, you have a look at your incomes, residence, 33,365. I mean, that's where you make your money, right? Yeah, sure, I got trades going on, but 33,367 a tick or whatever. No, mate, no, absolutely not. You're not making that from trading, I'll tell you that much. So you need your residents, and you need them up, uppity up, and that's how you get them to the uppity up, up. So that's what I did. So I brought this over, I put this in place, everybody got a little bit happy, and I promoted some people. I moved a few things around, added a few things, tweaked a few bits and pieces that needed tweaking, but we haven't really progressed any further over in this direction. And again, that's because of the fighting of fires that I'll talk about. We've got all these people over here, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, a couple of things before I move on to Woest. So you'll see in the top corner that I have a very different series of commodities to look at. So you can change that, and it's very useful that you do change that. And you go to the island info, and here in the details it has selected good to display in the storage bar, and you can click on that and it'll show you anything. I highly recommend you use it. I wasn't using it, but it is very important when you jump onto an island, because most of the time when I jump onto the island, the first thing I do is I grab a house and I look at the needs and go, well, is everything green? And if everything's not green, then there's a problem. So furs are not green, furs are blue, furs are declining, furs are a problem. And I can see in the top right hand corner, I don't have any in storage. So if I go and have a look here and I scroll down, I got 0. I got 536 fur coats for pelts, and I got 99 rolls, but I've got no coats. Now, what that suggests to me is I don't have enough production buildings. They used to be over here. I have 2. One there and one there. But it seems like I
Ship
could
under
possibly
attack.
do with a third, because I don't seem to be able to keep up. So I'll put a third in and see what happens to that. And hopefully that goes up, because I need that to be up. That is, there are some things that have been very critical to my income, and fur coats has definitely been one of them. So for sort of the last 3 or 4 hours, I've really been circling the drain. I have been down to like negative 1,000 in cash, not just in terms of how much I've been making, but actually in cash.
Ship
And I was
under attack.
honestly waiting to go bankrupt. I was watching it for an hour, doing nothing, waiting for it to go bankrupt, because all I was doing was juggling trade routes and balancing things out. And I would jump in and I would demolish a whole load of expensive buildings and then wait and see what happened, and then try and juggle it again and try and juggle it again. And I have literally spent the last 3.5 or 4 hours just juggling trade routes for, by and large, fur coats. Fur coats drive me insane. But not the only thing that I have been tasked with as an issue. So in terms of going down the list of things that are here, I have had issues in particular with iron ore. Iron ore seems to be a problem, or has been a problem. Not here, well, not now, but iron ore has particularly been a problem. Canned goods, the cannery, trying to get the beef sorted and the artisanal kitchen sorted to produce enough of these canned goods was a significant pain. Sewing machines is still a problem, and it was a problem because of the iron situation. But over here, we clearly have enough iron, so what we need to do over here is we need to build a sewing machine factory. What I can probably do is I'll go over here. I'll build a warehouse next to the dock, because that makes some sense to have a warehouse there. And what we'll do is we'll build at least one sewing machine factory. Let's put it end on. Let's make 2. Because that probably makes some sense based on what we have. We now need some additional people promoted. That's alright, let's promote some of these people. They seem to want to be promoted. We'll promote that whole row. Right, so we've promoted this whole row of people. That ought to, if we're lucky, sort
The
out
setting
sewing
is
machines.
derivative.
I'm gonna sort out fur coats maybe, but you know. And then we got no rum and we got no bicycles. Bicycles is a tough one. You need a lot of electricity for that, and you need catawak stuff. And you need something else. But it's a happiness issue, not a needs issue. So as it says here at the bottom, if I was to get that sorted, it would add plus 36 coin to each of those residences' earning potential, which would be very, very good. But I can't get it. Same with the rum. It's supposed to be as much as 52. But I can't get the rum trade sorted. Balanced out. It peaks and troughs a lot, and that probably gets me to something else that I have had a problem with, and that is the trade routes. And I realize, and I'm sure some of you have probably already seen this if you're knowledgeable people, that these are all the ships on
Ship
my trade
under
routes.
attack.
Now then, these things over here, ship of the line, they're not very quick. Right? They're military vessels, and I've been using them for trading, which is probably a dreadful idea. So my advice to you is don't do that. I make the mistakes so you don't have to. My mistake was don't use these things. Go for a clipper or something like that. And if you're worried about pirates, give it a gunboat escort, because the gunboats are quick. So you'll see that if you look at the AIs, the NPCs, they'll often have a cargo ship and they'll have one or two small escorts, because the small escorts are quick. Because one of the big issues with these trade routes is how slow they are. If it takes a long time for your trade ship to get from A to B and back to A again, then the problem is your people will work their way through your stocks and supplies before you have time to get the raw materials in. Those raw materials then need to be collected from the warehouse, taken to the processing building. The processing building then has to tick tock, tick tock, tick tock its way through that to produce it. And then it has to take it from there to the warehouse before it's available to your people. All of that is time. This is hard to gauge. You know, it depends on a lot of factors. But if you're using the wrong type of ships, if you want to use this thing, which is a clipper and is much faster, that's fine. Use a clipper. Don't use a ship of the line. Too slow, man. Too slow. Now then, before we move on to woes, the only other thing is brick roads. So I went and had a look at Goontown, which is Beryl O'Mara's big city, and she has a lot of brick roads. And I was like, I wonder why she's gone. You know, why would you make a brick road? Allows for faster transportation of goods. I mean, it says it right there. Here, it's a road, allows for transportation. This is faster. So this issue in time from warehouse to production to warehouse again can be ironed out if you actually make these roads paved, and then they can get around. The rest of it is cosmetic, I think. I don't really think it matters. If you have areas set up and you know you have a warehouse and you have lots of goods that are wandering around and you want these goods to arrive here quickly, pave it. Absolutely pave it. It's not a huge difference, but it is kind of noticeable. I've been watching the speed, not on, this is slow motion, so you don't notice a lot of things when it's running at slow speed. This is half normal speed, so you won't notice this guy really going particularly quickly, but you will notice it if you compare this guy moving on paved versus that guy who's just come off dirt roads. There is a small but noticeable difference which changes the speed of your stuff. So paved roads is definitely something that is going to help you move along and get things done a little bit quicker. Trade routes wise, there's also a number of issues with trade routes that I found out. It's just been, and I guess this is part of the kind of like mid game, is you find out how all the things that you did wrong in the beginning game are suddenly impacting you and or various other bits and pieces. You need to make sure that you're checking your trade routes quite regularly, because there are issues that come up. This one in particular doesn't make any sense. Pardon me, because it's still showing this as an error sign, and I can see there's over on the right hand side of my ship there is one beer, so it seems to be functioning perfectly fine. If all of those cargo slots were full of beer, that would be an indication that something is wrong. It means he's not offloading it. He's getting to where he's going and he's not offloading it. Now that might not show up on your trade menu as a problem, right? Because it only shows up on your trade menu if it's a problem, if they can't unload any of it. If he can unload some of it, then he'll stay, try and unload it, and then he'll go back again. If he's got a cargo slot, say you're loading 50, they'll load 50 into the new cargo slot, and then he'll travel back and he'll try and unload it. Maybe he only loads 35. Then he goes back again, loads another 50 into a new cargo slot. So now you've got 2 cargo slots with 15 and one with 50, and it goes on like that until your ship is entirely full. Then eventually you get a warning saying, oh, something's going on. Now if you're not checking that, then suddenly, all of a sudden, something else has happened on one of your islands, and you're like, why is that tanking? And it turns out you're out of beer. This is particularly important where you have multiple trades, because where you have a multiple trade, you could end up, for example, this has got gold and rum. Rum's critical, gold is not. I could end up with my hold full of gold. I am then unable to pick up the rum. Now, I'm not going to know that because this is traveling from the new world to the old world. And I don't know that till he gets to the old world. And I go, what's happening to that rum situation? And I go to the Earl of Sandwich II, and his hold's full of gold because he can't unload the gold at Woest. So then when he goes to try and pick the rum up, there's not enough room for the rum. And you end up with a knackered trade route. So that happens, and you need to be aware of that. You need to be very, very conscious of that. You need to go through periodically, and you need to make sure things are happening. This one here cannot be unloaded, so we'll have to remove it. Just means we don't need to. We don't need to. He still needs to shift hops though, and it still seems like he's trying to shift hops. So then we need to find the Southern Cross. So then we'll go and we'll have a look and see who's on. There you are, and we'll jump to the Southern Cross, and the Southern Cross is over there, and they've got a whole load of beef. And frankly, I don't need it. I'm throwing it overboard. Give it to the sharks. I don't need the problem. It's too much of a problem, and I'm gonna let somebody else deal with it. Now, that error sign won't necessarily go away immediately. Sometimes I've found what happens is they need to wait until they've done a cycle, right? So he's going to Woes to unload that. When he goes to Woes and unload it, that error message might go away. It might not. Like I say, some of them get stuck. The rest of them, I've been through and fixed them all, so you can see that they're all notionally working. So let's see, is anything likely to be broken? What about this one? Is this loaded up with everything? No, everybody seems to be functioning fine. Yeah, you just want to make sure that you don't have any of these going awry, especially your critical stuff. And I don't know if they've got filters there. You can have a look at these individually. You could have a look at just your snaps routes and say, okay, well, I definitely need snaps for people. Or you could say, I definitely need to know if these are working and so on. So you can go through and check out on all your trade routes. Or if you've got a particular problem, you're saying, what's happening with Viejo Garino? And you can see where it's all going, what resources are going to and from Viejo Garino, and then have a look at them and say, does this make sense? Is this working for me? Etc, etc, etc. I mean, going through all of that was something fundamental, which brings us to Woest and a couple of things. Da, 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 da.
I'm used to the best, and this isn't it.
Excellent. He's so unhappy. He's not. Look at him. He's tickly boo. He wants champagne, darling. I can get you champagne from somewhere. Don't you worry about it. Oh no, it's not. It's the one behind him. That's right. There's a farmer back there. I'm a farmer. Yeah. yes, investors. We've got investors. Look at this. Investors down at the bottom. This is it. This is the top. I don't think you get any further than that. We have World's Fair, which is, you know, some great big tickety boo kind of thing, obviously. Champagne, darling. This is where the grapes come in. So you remember I said, no wonder when we get that. Yeah, we got it. We got it now. We can get grapes. We can actually make champagne if we want. Cigars is fine. I've got cigars unlocked in the new world. I got the members club. Yeah, well, we don't have the gentleman's club sorted yet, but that's it. We've made it all the way to investors. The age of business is what they called it. The age of business. Now that is why I'm running so high in the top left-hand corner, because the minute I started chucking these bad boys in, 551 a piece, right? And if I can only get them a little bit happier, with champagne, they'll earn me a bucket load more cash. That's the way it's going to be. I've got a bit of a shortage of some of these guys at the minute, so I don't want to promote too many. I think I can promote. I can promote a couple more. Let's see. Well, he probably wants promoted. Oh, not demoted. Sorry, man. Wrong button. He wants promoted.
The people
You don't see them. So they're not. They have nothing in terms of that. So you don't see them on the top. You can see my engineers going down, but you don't. I don't have a number for investors that I can see. I don't know if I'm missing something, but essentially, I don't see them. But I do see the fact that they're going up, and I do see the fact that my income goes up, which is great. So yeah, so investors, and lots of swish looking housing, you know, which isn't bad. And oh yeah, one other thing about paved roads. So I have put down another power plant because I need to power the industry, but I also need, these people need electricity, right? And that's what they need. So I had to bring a power plant over here so it could spread more electricity. And the good news is about that is that these paved roads spread electricity further. So if you want this to power these people, you need to use paved roads because the area of effect is much larger. And I had to do a little bit of jiggery pokery with the train lines to get everything connected up to do that and move some people around and everything else. But it is definitely worth it. I had to build the bank. Hello, the bank. There you go. There's the bank. Full of bankers. Where all good bankers should be. And are. In the bank. Banking. Bankers. Anyway, that's the bank. So yeah, so we've got investors, we've got a bank, we monkeyed around with another power plant, which is fine and fine. We've got advanced weaponry, which is really rather good because that enabled us, if we can get in here while these people are monkeying around. Oh no, that's my oil boat. That did enable us to potentially build a battle cruiser, which I really thought, this is the golden behind, which is my oil tanker, and I really thought I'd already built one, which is a bit of a surprise to me that I don't have one, because I really felt like I should have one. That's my oil tanker. Where are my military ships? There he is, the battle cruiser Pocahontas. I'm using him as a trade ship. I've mistakenly started using him as a trade ship. But let's go have a look at him. There he is. This is my battle cruiser that I've just got milling around for trade. There you go. Nice, huh? Nice. I have no idea how good he is at shooting things, but it looks fairly impressive.
The people celebrate
I'd have to
your
say.
leadership.
Having this battle cruiser. Look at the state of these guns. Blimey, O'Reilly, don't fire those all at once. You'll break the deck. Anyway, so yeah, so we got that too. So we got he's in Denbury. Oh, let's get back to woes, I think. Oh, I went past it. There we go. Dear old woes. Busy as ever. So, I think that's it. I think that's you are up to speed with everything that I have done. We're up now to 578,000, which honestly, what are we talking now? I'm coming up on 2 hours playing this now. Is it like I probably put in 4.5 hours already today. And like I said, sort of like 3 hours ago, we were circling the gurgler, and that was it. I thought I was gonna have to come on and do I've gone bankrupt, I'm starting from scratch, etc. Video, because I was firmly convinced we
I'm missing particular materials.
still don't have enough bolts of cloth. Because yeah, it takes so long for change to be effective from trades and things. As soon as you increase your people, the effect is instantaneous. Pardon me. As soon as you upgrade people, you have an instant effect in your cash flow. As soon as they lose something, it has an instant effect in your cash flow. As soon as you change a trade route, it takes like 30-45 minutes or more to have an effect on these people here, because you have so many variables and time delays and various other bits and pieces that you need to address. So having a huge surplus of all of this stuff may seem a bit bonkers, but it's actually worth it. Where it really, I think, where the game really comes into you having to think about process management and production chain management is identifying these critical needs like canned goods, sewing machines, fur coats, spectacles, coffee, the generation of electricity and light bulbs. These are all things that you need to identify and put the chains together before you even need them. So like if we go over to let's say Railhampton, so Railhampton, I already know what I'm going to need.
Honored.
Right? I mean, I can see here that these guys want sausages and bread and stuff like that. But these things are going to become irrelevant to me. What's not going to become irrelevant to me is canned goods, sewing machines, and fur coats. So, getting them sorted and up and running is critical. And I need to make sure that I've got all of those things in place. And if we go and change our storage bar and we have a look at that, we can set ourselves up early and we can say, right, we want this because it's critical. This is an absolute killer in terms of making those. I want to know about rum because it's trust me, it is going to be a problem. And I want to know about sewing machines, and I'm probably also going to want to know about coffee because it is also a problem. So I can now see in the top go, right, we need to get into the rum and the coffee situation, because I can tell you now it isn't going to be too long. It's not on this list, it's over there. But you add that rum, that adds another 13 happiness, right? I can build that, not a problem. It only adds 3, that adds 13. Right? You don't see any of these right now, what they add. But this one here, 23, it all adds up. So, yeah, so that's the situation. So I feel like, blimey, the last little while has been stabilizing Wost and Denbury, and the issue is that they're still not 100%. I still don't have a stock of bolts of cloth, which worries me a touch because I can't guarantee my supply. I seem to have most near everything else I want. I've got coffee, I've got rum, I've got sewing machines. I think I'm doing okay. The advanced weaponry is going fine. I can build all of my ships that I want to build now, by the way. Flamethrower monitor. Can incinerate wooden ships. Medium range turret excels at dynamic combat. So I've got everything. So yeah, so that's the situation. Oh, I want to talk about oil tankers in a minute, just now. So these are all really, really good. So I can look to perhaps do these things go quicker. The cargo ship. It doesn't. I don't have an indication of speed. I can only imagine that they're supposed to go quicker than sail, because not at the whims of everything, which is fine. You see, I went to build that and I just suddenly lost a whole load of people. That's interesting. Is that because they're building that, or because something strange happened? I need to think about upgrading some people. 14's not enough. 44 is probably enough. Right, that'll be enough. That'll probably be enough to balance you guys a little bit out. That may have been because I just started building something. It doesn't really say, but that may be the case. I'm running low on iron again. Blast it, Wozed. Blast it. Why are you running low on iron? You're running low on iron because you're running low on iron ore. That's why, again. Go iron ore. I've got 3 iron mines on this island chugging out iron, and I still can't get enough. Right. Gosh. I have rambled on, and I'm just going to leave it there. I'm sorry that this has essentially just been a rambling explanation and you haven't really seen me go through and do anything. But, you know, a lot of my time has been spent doing the stuff that I've told you that I've been doing, which is balancing things here, there, and everywhere, and going through
We've
and
run out
saying,
of cabins.
you know, oh, out of gubbins.
Ship under attack.
You know, why is this not working? Why is that not working? Why is this, you know, I probably don't need Windows right now, to be honest. So there you go. So I'm sorry it's been a rambling episode in terms of things that I have done, and you can come back and have a look at some of the bits and pieces that I have done. But that's what I've been doing for the last several hours in terms of this, and like I said, 33 hours of gameplay to get to, well, 32 hours and something to get to investor, and you know, there's some people saying they can get
Ship
to investor in
under
an
attack.
hour, so I don't know. I'm making the mistakes so you don't have to. Balance your trade routes, balance your production, make the most of your islands, be really careful about going gung-ho developing and then suddenly finding yourself running out of things. That's probably the only thing I don't understand in terms of time. People might have a calculator that they know that you need to have a certain number of people before you need to do a certain number of things and whatever. For me, it's all just trial and error. I'm just looking at it and going, you know, I jump in and I go, are all of their needs met? They seem to be a bit low on this and they seem to be a bit low on that. Why is that? And go and try and find it. That's my advice. My advice is just keep a very close eye on all of those things, especially in terms of trade and whatnot. But for right now, I've got it all back to where it needs to get back to. We're making money. We're making a fair amount of money. If I just speed this all the way up, we seem to be making a fair amount of money. It's been running like this while I've been talking to you for the better part of 45 minutes. And that means that it's kind of stabilized and it's kind of solid. And notwithstanding one of my trade ships getting sunk, which is something else that can happen to your trade routes, everything else seems to be working okay. And thanks. Bye bye, Willie. So now I can concentrate on trying to sort out things like completing Dedenbury the way I want to complete it. Getting some of these woes things balanced out a little bit better than they were. Getting Raelampton sorted. Finishing off the development of the new world. And then seeing if we can't get to one of the completionist things we've got here. What have we got here? We've got jewelry now. We've got the members club. Can we build the members club? We need more steel. Ironically, we need more steel after me shutting down the steel plants. And this thing, the World Fair Foundations. Look at the size of it. Where the heck am I going to find room for that? You know, and it needs a raft of stuff. So this is like the, you know, constructed in multiple phases. This is like the completionist thing, right? Is to get to the World's Fair. So that's what we're going to be trying to be aiming for. Get to the World Fair. Yeah. Right, blimey O'Reilly, man. Blimey O'Reilly. I mean, it's taken a bit of an effort to get here, but look at them go. Chuk, 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 chuk. Yeah. Man, what an effort. Anyway, I hope you've learnt from my various mistakes and missteps and miscalculations, because that's why I'm playing the game. So that you guys can get to look at it and go, oh yeah, no, I saw that happen to somebody else before.
Me a heck of a turn.
You know, so
Flaming kereru.
there you go. Please drop a like. Do subscribe. It helps a lot, and it encourages me, you know, to do the next one. This is obviously Sandbox 1. Eventually this will be finished, and then there'll be, you know, possibly Sandbox 2. Although City Skylines 2 might interfere with that, but we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, flick me a comment about your adventures. How are you going? What did you find out? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And how you feel about the game in general. And that's all. Ta-ta for now.
PlayStation